Hello, amigos. Welcome to my show, BodyTrust Weekly. I'm Dr. Doug. Eating healthy, for most people in my country, United States, means eating the right food. That is, food that is on some expert's list of approved food. And of course, abstaining from the wrong food, which is unapproved by somebody. That's eating healthy, right? We all know that. And the experts, who are they? They include advertisers and their scientists that they hire to promote their food, and doctors and healers and colleagues of mine of every description and category, authors of diet books, governments, the mass media, your friends, your family members, and total strangers. They all tell you what's right to eat and what's wrong to eat. In fact, this is supposed to be the be-all and end-all of good health. It all boils down to what you put in your mouth and what you don't put in your mouth. Let me ask you, does anyone besides your own body really know what your body needs at this moment? I'll tell you, only your body knows. It's the same with all animals and all other people all over the world in all times past. See, animals only have their instincts to rely on, their eating instincts. They don't have scientists to tell them how to nourish their bodies, right? They just do it, and they're very successful at it. How is that? How is that possible? Well, let's back up, and I'll tell you something. Only when you eat with hunger are you eating healthy. I know that's radical. It shouldn't be radical, but in modern society it is radical. Hunger is an empty feeling in the stomach area that prepares us to go out into the wilderness and forage for food, hunt, fish, climb trees, dig up roots, steal eggs, whatever it takes. Hunger is the only thing that keeps animals from starving to death, isn't it? If they didn't have hunger, well, they would just stay under that tree and sleep. Why bother? All that work, what's the point? The hunger is not starvation, is it? It's not starvation. It's not malnutrition. It's not something to be fought. It's not something to be gotten rid of. We don't want to get rid of world hunger. We want to get rid of world famine. We don't want to get rid of hunger. In fact, we want to make friends with hunger. Hunger is a feeling. You know, eating healthy and eating right is all about dieting. It's diet consciousness. That's a proven failure. People are turning away from it. They're sick and tired of it. You can lose weight and then you gain it back. 5% of people who diet maintain their weight loss after a year. Pretty sad statistic, isn't it? You see, diet and exercise, they don't work if you want to lose weight. They don't work. There's got to be something else to get you lean and clean and serene. Veganism, just an overglorified diet. Vegetarianism, Mediterranean diet, zone diet, paleo diet, blah blah diet. You know what they all have in common? They require willpower. I'm going to be good. I'm not going to eat that. I'm going to eat this, not that. So how long do you think that lasts? Because you can't be good forever. Good. Because after a while you're going to be bad. That's human nature. I'm going to reward myself. I'm tired of being good. I'm going to be bad today. And you know what that brings up? Guilt. And what good does guilt do anybody? Does guilt do you any good? Does guilt help you move forward with anything? No, it doesn't. Well, that's what people feel when they eat the wrong food that somebody else disapproves of. There's all that food shaming. Oh, you ate McDonald's hamburger. What kind of person are you? Junk food. Who eats junk food? Junk people. Are you a junk people? If you're a junk people, raise your hand. I am not a junk people. All right. I eat cheeseburgers. And then there's this good foods, bad foods that changes all the time. Remember, I don't know, for decades, eggs were bad food. That was bad food. You weren't supposed to eat eggs. Causes heart attacks, cholesterol, blah, blah, blah. A couple months ago, a study came out that said you should eat one chicken egg a day. It helps with your heart. I don't really care what some scientist tells me to eat or not eat. I know that my body usually likes eggs, and I do very well on eggs. I don't have a problem with eggs. If you have a problem digesting eggs, don't eat it. It's simple. This is what animals do. What about chemicals in food? Oh, here's a big subject, right? Nutritional facts. I used to do that. I used to examine all the labels. I was outraged that the supermarkets had all these chemicals in food. Oh, and it causes cancer, and it causes this, and it causes that. And there's no evidence for any of that. And then I learned from Chinese sages that if you're really healthy, and you're lean, and you're clean, your immune system can handle small impurities. It can. I also learned that small impurities increase your immunity. They help you create antibodies. See, this guy knows exactly what to eat. He doesn't listen to scientists. He just knows exactly. If it doesn't suit him, he ain't going to eat it. Well, that's the way we need to be. Yeah. So strengthen your immune system. Stop worrying yourself to death about right foods and chemicals in foods. And your mental health is far more important than a few impurities in your food or water. And then there's nutritional deficiencies. This is another thing that so many people worry about. Oh, I need nutrition. I have to eat the right food in order to get nutrition. And what I'd like to know is, where are the nutritional deficiencies? In the United States, where I live, where are the pellagra epidemics, or the beriberi? Where's the scurvy? Where's the kwashiorkor? Where's the night blindness? It doesn't show up in any demographics. And it doesn't show up in blood tests either. And yet everybody's obsessed with not getting enough nutrition. While this country leads the developed world in obesity and overweight. This is overnutrition. We are overnutritionized. We are getting sick and dying from too much nutrition. And yet the food manufacturers, that's how they sell their food in this country. Vitamin enriched. Well, I'll tell you, the only vitamin that seems to be deficient among people is vitamin D. So, of course, they've got vitamin D supplements that you can take while you're indoors obsessing on your computers and phones. Sunlight creates vitamin D. You want vitamin D? Get some sun, like a natural human. You are what you eat. No, you are not what you eat. It's a big lie. You are what you do. You know, what comes out of your mouth is far more important than what goes in. Health claims. Gosh. You know, in France, they can't sell packaged food with health claims. Because French people figure it's fake. They don't want it. They want real food. I'll tell you how they sell food in France. Super delicious. Economy size. Party pack. Not cholesterol free. You know, gluten free. All this other stuff. You know, this eating right is originally an American problem. This is where it started. The food panics and the food fads, they go back more than a century in this country. In the late 1800s, Americans were inventing all kinds of stuff and fell in love with science, and also were terrified of science. And so you had all these things come up. Yogurt, I remember yogurt was a miracle food. It would solve everything, cure every problem. Then a few years later, dairy was evil. You can't drink dairy. It's evil. It's going to kill you. And it became a fear food, the wrong food. Dairy went from the right food to the wrong food in the blink of an eye. And we see this constantly in this country. It's such a big lie. Food is not medicine. Let's get that straight. It's not medicine. It's nourishment. You can't use food as medicine. Chinese do use some foods medicinally, but they become herbs. They're medicinal herbs. So ginger, for example, that's a food, but it can also substitute as a medicinal herb. Garlic, mint, other things like that. So you don't take food as medicine, you take herbs as medicine. All right, and now there are 3 questions that you need to ask yourself: whether to eat, how much to eat, and what to eat. And believe me, what to eat is way down there on the list of important questions. And yet it's the only question that Americans ever ask themselves. What to eat? Oh, what do I eat? Oh, I don't know. I'm so confused. Of course you're confused. You're not listening to your body. And you're not asking yourself whether to eat. Because if you're not hungry, every bite of officially approved food is toxic. If you're not hungry, that bite of lettuce is toxic. If you're not hungry, that carrot is toxic. Yeah, because the body knows it can process. Hunger means it can process food. Lack of hunger means I'm going to have trouble. Now, the more processed a food is, like bread or ice cream or whatever, the more likely it's going to cause problems when you're not hungry. Empty feeling in the stomach area. It's not shaking, it's not dizziness, it's not fatigue, it's not any of these other reasons for eating. It's only an empty feeling in the stomach area that motivates you to go out in the wilderness and dig up roots all morning and bring them back to the village where they get prepared, and then you have a feast. You don't live like that, unfortunately, but you can. I mean, that's what I do. I don't eat during the day. I let my hunger build. See, I've made friends with hunger so that by dinner time, I'm really hungry. And you know what that does for me? It helps me process all kinds of foods. It helps my digestion like you wouldn't believe. It also makes my food taste super delicious. So people say, well, I can't go all day without eating. I like to eat too much. No. I like food too much. No, you don't like the food. You like the dopamine that comes from eating. It's not the food because it's not all that delicious for you. You're never hungry. I like food better. That's why I wait. So I want that food to be super delicious. And that's where vegetables are really tasty. When you're really hungry, vegetables are really tasty. When you're not hungry, they taste like cardboard. So, if you're never hungry, and most Americans are never hungry because the fatter you are, the weaker the hunger until eventually it completely disappears. So if you're never hungry, my advice is, well, you're not going to fast forever. You're not going to fast for months until it comes. So you're going to eat. You're going to continue eating. And just remember that when you're not hungry, every bite of food is toxic. So try eating light. Try eating less processed food and see what happens. See if it's easier to digest. See if it's less of a burden on your body. A small amount of food that's found directly in nature. Now, if you're having problems with a certain food, like milk, for example, don't drink it. Don't use it. But don't tell other people not to drink milk just because you can. It's arrogant. Nobody tells me what I can eat and what I can't eat. Nobody. I correct them right away. I say, save your advice for yourself. Don't give it to me because my body is the expert on what to eat.
Jackson loves broccoli. Here, baby, you hold it.
Try it again.
And besides, how much to eat is what makes you fat, not what to eat. How much to eat is what makes you sick, not what to eat. Trust your body. Make hunger your best friend. If you don't get hungry, then gradually, the less you eat, the leaner you'll get until you reach that point where you actually do feel hunger and welcome it into your life. Make friends with it. It's your best friend. That's all for now. With me today is Rhonda Mahananda Woodhouse. She's a practitioner of Ayurvedic medicine, and she specializes in Ayurvedic bodywork. And she's been doing it a long time, haven't you, Rhonda?
Yes, I feel like a lifetime,
A lifetime. Well,
especially with my grandmothers. Okay.
Well, it started way back in childhood, but how long have you actually been doing Ayurvedic?
Interestingly enough, I still would have to say, well, let's just say in my grandmother's house, we were practically doing it when I went to school in 2004. I started hearing and realizing everything that was going on in our house was Ayurvedically aligned, although they were Cherokee Indian. I thought it was just interesting. The cultures were very similar. So,
Wow.
in spirit, I feel I've done it forever. So those are very multi-dimensional levels of saying when it started, but I believe it's always been in me.
I see. And you make house calls, is that right? And you only
I'm an
you specialize
on-site.
in women.
Yes.
In treating women.
Our women need to be saved and filled and opened up again.
Your card is really interesting. You allow, restore, and illuminate.
Absolutely.
What is that?
Well,
Can you explain that?
allow means you're giving a canvas a chance to show its beauty.
Mm-hmm.
So when women are being worked on, they tend to just feel like they have to be on all the time. And that's a time for them to be served, a time for them to heal, and a time for them to just throw off the emotional garments that they put on every single day.
Okay, yeah. Allow themselves to be
who they truly
pampered,
are.
or to be who they truly are, because they've
Right.
got all these masks
All
that they
those
have to
layers
wear.
are on them.
Right.
Unintentionally and intentionally.
Yes, that's right. And you restore too.
Absolutely. The body's innate intelligence kicks in when we cut off the thoughts from the neck up, so to speak.
True.
And then the body has full-blown attention. And
Yes.
and there's so much prana in each cell of the body. And that's what I work towards, is giving that space for it to rejuvenate and restore.
And you illuminate.
Oh my goodness, the before and after pictures are absolutely phenomenal. They have the face of God when I'm done with them. Or I should say, they allow, and then we end up with that result, the face of God.
Wow, that's great. You have a hand glove that you exfoliate.
Right.
You take some like dead skin off, and you allow the skin to breathe.
Right. And it's important too, because we need it to be receptive. If you're thinking about a whole day that you've actually been bombarded with energy, that's another method of allowing yourself to say, and you release. And then, of course, the skin gets that new circle of energy under the first 3 layers of dhatu. So I love that as a start, especially since I'm not in a position to put them in a steam.
Yes, and you use magic oils.
Actually, they are. I like that you said it, because
no, really,
it's really the truth.
Oils.
Once I interact with them, get an overview of what is happening in their lives, and of course, understanding what their dosha is, I really and truly get into a meditative space, and I'm able to blend essential oils with the carrier oil, which could be anywhere from sesame oil to coconut oil or even almond oil. So it's a nice moment that it's all about customizing for the guest.
And how many oils do you carry with you to a house call?
That depends on what that person is in
Oh.
need of, as well
Okay.
as what I'm inspired to bring.
Okay. And you bring a lot of stuff, don't you? You
I
lay out, you
bring
have a ritual
and
when you
I
arrive,
bring a
don't you?
spa.
Yeah, you bring a
it's
spa.
like I'm
She
moving in,
travels
but
with a
I'm not.
spa.
But I want everything to be comfortable,
Sure.
including having a bed table a table that has a warm pad on it,
Mm-hmm.
and also steam towels. And I like the stones, and all those things matter.
Stones.
Yes.
Ooh.
They allow you
The
to really
earth.
work. Yes,
The earth.
absolutely. It's the perfect place for them to have that, is in their own environment.
Warm basalt stones
Right.
that melt away stress.
Absolutely. Once the oil is applied, after we've done the exfoliation, and of course, Abhyanga is a warm oil application as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't flood their bodies with it, but I put enough oil on them for them to experience what Abhyanga actually is all about.
Well, and you also you work with channels. Ayurvedic has channels
Marma
points, and you relieve stagnant energy.
Exactly, but very similar to the meridians.
Similar to Chinese meridians, huh?
And I love the fact that there are 38 or so marma points in the head.
Mm.
Once you get to the head, you pretty much have given that person back to themselves, because you've got meridians that basically flow throughout the body. And yet when we think about what we do every day, everything is computer, everything is on at that moment where we have to always be exact and precise. This is another realm in which the body begins to open up and show you the vastness of who you really are.
So they're no longer head trips.
No.
Head cases. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right. It's kind of a cranial massage that you do. It's kind of sort of like that.
That's a good start, but it's more than that. It's beyond. In fact, I find it very hard to articulate, and I've had my share of them, and certainly when I ask my clients, they're speechless.
And rose water steam towels.
Right. We have to pull that all in.
You know what rose?
Rose
is such
a
delicious aroma.
Yes. It's the highest frequency in terms of oils, and my goodness, what a way to end and begin.
And it says love.
Yes.
Rose says
it's all about love.
She's wearing a t-shirt that says love. Yeah, Rhonda's love.
Oh, yeah. So I really like the signature that adds to this.
You have an unusual name, Mahananda.
Yes.
Could you elaborate that for my watchers?
How can I say it? Very simply, it means my son, my beloved son, my most supportive son, gave me that name, and I was definitely wanting to think of a name for my website, which it means Mother of Bliss.
Mother of Bliss.
I've been known for that for so long.
Well, I can relate to that because I'm a bliss nanny.
We all are in a certain way, but okay,
Mother
we have to
bliss.
Remind each other that you have bliss in you.
So you love.
So I'm the mother.
I
love loving. Rumi has a saying that love is in love with me, and I am in love with love. So
who's Rumi?
Rumi is my favorite poet. He's a mystic poet out of about 800 centuries ago. Or how many years ago? I don't know. But
several centuries ago.
And I read him every day.
Or Iranian?
I can't. He was from
R-U-M-I.
Yeah, he was from the Balk.
He's very famous.
Yeah, very, very powerful poetry, and I read it every day. Wow. I get lost in it.
There you go. Well, that's great. Yeah.
And then I come back.
And you only treat women. How long? When did you start that? Because I know you gave me a treatment a long time ago, and a memorable treatment. I'll never forget it.
Thank you. I actually started probably a couple of years ago, thinking in terms, because I worked at a private spa for 8 years, and
that's
let me know.
Century City, wasn't it?
Right. And that let me know that women were more in need. Men are easier, of course. They get on the table and they just fall asleep. But women, I find, really because we are creators. Well, no, they can, but I wish women would. I wish women would shut off the minute they get on the table. But they're the hardest. They're the ones that you have to melt down. And then 15 minutes as you're ending a 90-minute treatment, they're like, oh, we're done. Well, the whole period has been used thinking too
Right.
much.
Yes, yes.
That's why I love Shirodara. I actually pair them together because it's really important to work on
What's
the
your
mind.
dog?
Shirodara is the warm oil that flows over the third eye onto all of those marble points that need soothing. So I have to even beg women who wear weaves, let me know when you're in between your appointments, because it's really a disservice not to have your head actually.
Weave?
You know, the
Could
hair.
you explain
Everyone wears
that
these
to
weaves
dumb
with the
guy?
long hair. And they want to look
You mean they're not real?
gorgeous. They look
You mean that
of
hair's
course
not real?
they bought it. It's real.
They
It's
bought it.
theirs.
It's real.
It's
It's
bought. They bought it.
guaranteed
It's
real.
theirs. And I honor
Or
that.
your money back.
I just want to be able to reach those marble points that are so crucial
Right.
to soothing their
Gosh,
mind,
you learn
body, and
something every day.
spirit. Yeah, if you can get the mind.
Should I ask a woman, is that a weave or is that?
No,
don't ask that.
no, you never ask
That
that.
wouldn't be good.
But oil is not a friend to a weave, so that's why I beg for that effort.
And you do 60-minute and 90-minute sessions,
Right. It goes by so quickly, both of them, really.
Tell me a little bit more about your grandmothers. That sounds.
My grandmothers were, yes, well, I grew up with both my grandparents, and my grandmothers were in the home, so they were the ones I always was hanging out with. And they were my first herbal doctors, my first influence of wholeness and treating the whole person. They always taught, when you meet someone, never leave them the same. And that was in every way, whether it's what you spoke to them, how you treated them, and all the reverence that we should pay to another human being. And they knew what to do with herbs. We never got sick because they were always giving us something. I remember the castor oil lineup.
Lineup.
You didn't have a choice. And then, of course, they offered you a peppermint stick. Well, who wants that? So I learned over time just to take it for what it is. So that's why I'm such an herbal lover. And I also love Oriental medicine for that reason, too.
And how's your wrist?
The one that we co-partnered and healed.
Yeah, Rhonda's an old patient of mine.
That is, and you are forever with a halo. I mean, honestly, you were the perfect person to.
I don't. I'm just bullshit.
Well, he has a halo in my mind because Dr. Doug, you really were the person I needed to partner with. They wanted to slit my wrist, and not in the sense of suicide, but they wanted to just open up my wrist and clip that little band, as you know. And I'm like, no. Well, I know many people who have done that, and they cannot even use their hands, let alone their thumb, which is a major part of the
scary too.
hand. Yeah. So yeah, I absolutely am totally grateful for that. That period was absolutely God sent.
Thank you very much. Well, I enjoyed working with you. I want to ask you one more question. You've been to India?
Oh, I was there
for
a month. No, it's so cheap to go. So you just get a ticket and go, and you don't come back the same. Actually, I met myself there, but at the same time, I came back with a lot more. And I didn't want to leave. Really, I was there for a month, and of course, I was in an ashram.
It's kind of life-changing.
But everything was.
It was life-changing.
Oh my gosh!
She's giving me that face. Oh my gosh!
I don't have enough time to tell you how wonderful it was. But yes, all my love for India.
Well, India is a fascinating place, and I definitely want to go. But I want to thank you for being with me today, Rhonda Mahananda Woodhouse.
Pleasure. It's been an absolute blessing to sit here and
information
share.
To contact you on your website. She has a wonderful website.
Thank you.
And a phone number that you can call and just talk to her. Just talk. Right?
Absolutely.
She just likes to talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I
prefer to speak before there's I want an appointment. Well, you can do both, but I really like getting to know who their interests and what they are about.
Lovely.
Because everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story. And Ayurveda has an answer for every story.
Absolutely. It's a timeless
5,000 years old. Stands shoulder to shoulder with Chinese medicine.
Absolutely.
It does.
Absolutely. I love it.
Thank you once again for being with me. And listeners.
Namaste.
Namaste, my listeners and my watchers, my viewers. And we'll see you next time. Hello, amigos. Please subscribe to my show and share it with your friends. Also, click that little bell so that you will receive notice every time I post a new episode.